the end of Parshas Pekudi, the Torah concludes Sefer Shmos with the following language: Vayichasa onan es oel moed, uchvod Hashem oliyas hamishkan. The onan enveloped the oel moed, and the cover of Hashem filled the Mishkan. V'lo yochel Moshe lavo el oel moed ki shachan olav ha'onan. Moshe was not able to enter. Uchvod Hashem oliyas hamishkan. Uve'olos ha'onan me'al hamishkan. Once the onan would ascend, Yisu b'nei Yisrael b'chol masehem. That was the time for Klal Yisrael to march and move on. V'im lo ye'oleh ha'onan, if it did not ascend, v'lo Yisu ad yom he'oloso. Ki anan Hashem al hamishkan yomam, v'eshti alayla bo le'nikol beis Yisrael b'chol masehem. It is readily apparent that the Torah has set down two criteria. The criteria for traveling, when the onan ascends, and the other criteria, which was when they would remain put when the onan covered the oel moed. But furthermore, the Torah stressed this idea in the first two psukim twice. Vayichase onan es oel moed uchvod Hashem oliyas hamishkan, and then lo yochel Moshe lavo el oel moed ki shachan olav ha'onan uchvod Hashem oliyas hamishkan. The Ramban early on in Parshas Truma, the Ramban noted the famous equation, namely Mishkan equals Har Sinai. Har Sinai, says the Ramban, was a magnificent moment, a moment of divine revelation, of theophany, where Hashem communicated with Klal Yisrael. But then the question was, how will we be able to maintain that level of communication? And the answer the Ramban says was with the Mishkan. The Mishkan was, in effect, the very essence of Maimon HaSinai in a smaller kind of format, if you will. The Ramban notes in Truma that there are many areas of analogy between the Mishkan and Har Sinai. Firstly, in terms of its Kedusha. Har Sinai was demarcated. The Torah describes in Parshas Yisro, Perek Yutes, when it speaks of the experience of Har Sinai, it mentions again and again, V'igbalta sa'am savu lemar. The idea that the area is divided into Kedushas Machanos, or Kedushas Mechitzos, Machane Shechina, Machane Levia, Machane Yisrael. But philosophically, there is a very significant point here as well, namely that the yesod of Kedusha is self-discipline. The ability of a person to somehow get a hold of oneself and lead a life which is disciplined, which is channeled in a very clear direction, based on a clear understanding of what one is obligated to do, of goals that are set down that are clear for oneself. But all this is done in the context of great tznius, of great modesty. And the Ramban notes many terminological analogies between Matan Torah and the Mishkan. So in effect, what the Ramban is saying, that Mishkan equals Har Sinai. And there also, in the context of Har Sinai, the Torah tells us, right before Har Sinai, we have again a similar kind of description, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Hinei anochi bo elecha ba'av ha'onan. It was also the thickness of the cloud. It was all mitoch tznius. One who wants to be zochet to Talmud Torah has to learn with consistency, has to be self-disciplined, and has to be done with a sense of modesty, great modesty. And that's the modesty the Torah describes here at the end of Pekudi. Vayichasa onan es oel moed, uchvod Hashem oliyas hamishkan. In reality, the Torah is simply summing up the Shitas Ramban. That Mishkan and Har Sinai are identical, are coterminous. They have the same Kedushas Mechitzos. They have the same philosophic idea of self-discipline. And ultimately, all this takes place in the context of tznius. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Talmud Torah that one who wants to be zohar to Talmud Torah has to learn, but has to learn without self-aggrandizement, without pursuing kavod. But one who learns b'toch tznius, b'toch modesty, such an individual will be zohar to Talmud Torah. That was the experience of Har Sinai. That was the experience of the Mishkan, that the Torah sums up at the end of Pekudi, and therefore the Ramban's thesis is once again beautifully beheld in the end of Pekudi. Mishkan and Har Sinai are hainu hach, one and the same. Halavai, we should be zocher to self-discipline, to striving for Kedusha, all mitoch tznius, and Be'ezer Hashem, we should be zocher to that ongoing Har Sinai Mishkan experience.